5 exclusive detailed how an elderly woman was carjacked, then struck by the robber in her own vehicle as he made his getaway. We have obtained video of the stolen vehicle. Fox 5's Morse Diggs joins us live from Northeast Atlanta with the new information tonight. Morse.
We're going to show the video of that stolen car leaving that complex shortly. But first, Michael Bond is saying that with respect to this particular crime, we've got information that there was some targeting going on, targeting of the senior citizens complex. If that's the case, he says, why not elevate the punishment? At a senior home in North Atlanta, a man sitting on a bench waited for someone to assault.
He had grabbed my keys.
The unidentified man pounced on a woman who was taking her groceries inside.
And when I got outside the door, that's when it was just like a movie or something. It was just like all of a sudden I seen him getting in my car, and this thing, I knew he was coming at me. I just froze in the middle of the road. And he just hit me, and I went up in the air, and I was knocked out of my shoe.
Beat up and bruised from head to toe is the way the senior described her injuries.
And he kept on going.
And here is footage of the stolen car as the thief kept on going.
He literally ran her down in her own car. Potentially, she could have been murdered on the scene.
A councilman who represents the entire city expressed sorrow for the woman. Michael Bond believes there is more law enforcement and the courts can do to protect the vulnerable like seniors.
To see if we can create stiffer penalties for those who victimize our seniors, particularly where they live. This is a conversation I would have with the DA and, of course, with our state legislators.
For that senior, the emotional scars likely will last longer than her bruises.
Doug Evans has the latest details for us.
Kyle Klingscales was 22 years old. He was supposedly on his way back to Auburn University from his home here in Troup County when he disappeared 45 years ago. Sheriff James Woodward, in a news conference today, confirmed that Klingscales' car was discovered submerged in an Alabama creek yesterday. A 911 caller alerted authorities to it. Inside the Ford Pinto, bones and a wallet with Klingscales' identification were discovered. The GBI is here in Troup County sifting through that car in the hopes of finding more evidence that will help solve the mystery of what happened to Kyle Klingscales.
There's a lot of mud in the car, as you can imagine, that has washed over in there over time. And there was one bone that we noticed sticking up out of the mud. And upon looking, I think they found a second. And today, the GBI is out here. They're taking all the mud out, sifting through it to see if they can find anything else. But we are glad today. Miss Klingscale, his mother, died just this year in January. And it was always her hope that he would come home. It was always our hope that we would find him for her before she passed away. So just the fact that we have hopefully found him and the car brings me a big sigh of relief.
In Troup County, Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
Drive in southwest Atlanta last month. Investigators say Walker and Crawford had gotten into an argument. They say that argument led to a physical fight between the roommates and ended with Walker dead.
Henry County deputies in Texas, where they're seeing a lot more apprehensions now than ever before. Ashley?
Tom and Courtney, you can see these mountains behind me. There are also a lot of rocks and boulders. It's dry and hot in the summer, cold and windy in the winter, hardly any water around here. These are just a few challenges people face as they attempt to cross into the U.S. illegally.
A trash bag to hide themselves at night. Water's cold. So it's been here since last night. So they got picked up last night or early this morning.
Jose Aleman is the patrol agent in charge of the Van Horn station.
10-4, sir. Thank you very much.
With more than 20 years of service, he knows just what undocumented immigrants are up against when they start their journey in this remote area.
What they're trying to do is get to these open, flat areas, make it through all these open, flat areas, all the way up to this interstate right here without being seen, and then coordinating with a smuggler to pick them up anywhere. anywhere along this highway, Interstate 10, get picked up and then get transported further eastbound.
Part of the Big Bend sector covers 517 miles along the U.S.-Mexico border. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reports a 136% increase in encounters in this sector, more than doubling from October 2020 to now.
So what we're experiencing right now is unprecedented for Big Bend sector.
Human smugglers often tell the immigrants that the trip from the mountains to the interstate is only 2 days.
You're talking about maybe almost, 10, 12 days to make it to that location. Again, you can only carry so much water.
And not everyone makes it. New technology like surveillance towers helps agents catch the border crossers before they reach the interstate.
So not only does it detect the illicit activity that's happening, but it also helps us rescue people because some of these folks that are out here are abandoned. They're out here by themselves.
To the migrants who are thinking about crossing in the Big Bend region, don't do it. It's not worth your life.
This sector also has 7 rescue beacons that allow the border crossers to call for help in case of an emergency, and the Border Patrol in this sector plans to install 13 more. In Van Horn, Texas, I'm Ashley Soriano, Fox 5 News.
Ashley, thanks. Instagram under the microscope with humanoids.
Human face is a very high bandwidth communication tool, and that's why we've built these expressive robots.
But as the pandemic continues, Ameca can also help you avoid person-to-person contact without feeling left out. With virtual reality software improving and the metaverse expanding, Ameca can bridge together internet platforms and real-life social settings.
Imagine taking your metaverse character out into the real world. You need some embodiment for that. So you wanted to take your virtual self to a meeting in New York, Hawaii, Hong Kong. Send a robot.
Meanwhile, educators in France are experimenting with robots in schools to avoid sick kids missing class. Using a device called Buddy, kids at home or in the hospital can still take part in their lessons. They simply log into their Buddy using a personal laptop or tablet, and Buddy allows them to engage with their teacher and classmates.
One of the lessons behind the health crisis is keeping the schools open for everyone, whatever their circumstances. So even a child who faces limitations, who is sick at home or in hospital, should have access to this modern technology.
Officials in France hope to launch 4,000 Buddy robots to schools across the country next year, while Ameca is available for purchase and costs $133,000.
I just thought it was a glitch or something.
We work hard for our money. We've both been working since we were able to be in the workforce, and it just sucks that our money can just be taken away from us like that.
Coinbase sent a notification out to affected customers in October. The company says hackers used a large-scale email phishing campaign to trick customers into giving up their information. Coinbase does not cover any losses.
Ben's don't. You bring your firearm, and it has to be in a holster. It has to be in a holster. We put your firearm in here for the event. Lock it up. You go to the event, and once you leave the event, you come back and you retrieve your firearm.
According to Atlanta police, nearly 2,000 guns have been stolen from vehicles so far in the city alone this year. Rouse says many of the owners
held today. Kemp led with 40.5%. Purdue had 22.3%. But those numbers changed dramatically when voters were told Trump was set to endorse Purdue. Insider Advantage chairman Matt Towery says we saw this happen in 2018's gubernatorial race as well.
Now we're seeing that same effect in this poll because we see 19-point lead for Kemp go to basically a tied race at 34-34 once people are aware that Trump has now endorsed Purdue for governor.
Towery says the Buckhead cityhood movement could play a role in who wins the Republican primary. 50% of voters polled said they are more likely to support a candidate who supports allowing Buckhead residents to decide if they want to create their own city.